I need some frank advice about what I should do. It's all so messy, and I don't know what's right or wrong anymore. My husband and I had a pretty rough patch just before we got married. We had been together for 8 years, and he had basically lost interest in me and stopped having sex. I cheated with a random guy, and we broke up. Awful move that I have always regretted, mostly because it was premeditated and not a in-the-moment thing. He forgave me though, and admitted to neglecting our relationship during that time. After a few weeks we started speaking again and decided to wipe the slate clean. Things moved quickly, and he proposed, and we got married a short while later. That was a long time ago, and we now have kids and a happy life. A few months ago, however, my husband's best friend made a new friend and introduced the guy to their group. By some karmic twist of fate, my husband's new friend was the guy I kissed all that time ago. I was so sick when I realized. I told my husband as soon as I knew, but at that stage he had already been integrated into the friend group. To say he was angry was an understatement. He was so hurt and heartbroken and completely lashed out at me, which I get. After a few weeks he spoke to me and said he didn't want to get a divorce over this, but he is deeply embarrassed and ashamed, as am I. I was so glad to hear that he didn't want to break up, and I told him I would do whatever he is comfortable with in terms of coming clean. He has decided that he is going to forget we had the conversation and move on as though it hasn't happened. The most painful part though is that he said if any of his friends ever find out he will pretend he has no clue of anything and leave me on the spot. I am so sad and worried that the future of our family now depends on this. And the thing is, I know his friends already know. They haven't said anything because that would be rude, but I could tell something had shifted in their thinking towards me before I even realized about the guy. The air tenses when I come into the room, and a few of them have let things slip when they get drunk and they think they are being subtle. I've said this to my husband and his response was, "Oh well, if it's ever said out loud, I'm leaving you." I'm so sick with worry, I don't know what to do. It feels like my whole life is on a ticking time bomb for a mistake I made and worked through with my husband over a decade ago. I completely understand his position, but I am racked with guilt, shame, and worry, and feel so trapped by it all. And I can't help but feel that my husband is basing our kids' happiness on chance for the sake of his ego. I am willing to come out and admit my errors, but he is too embarrassed to let people know he married me when he knew I had cheated. I don't know who or what is right or wrong, and I have no idea what is the best thing to do for our family. I am a mess lately, and struggling to take care of myself and my kids. But it was my behavior that got us here, so I can't help think I need to put my head down and get on with it. I need some honest advice and perspective from someone who isn't so close to the situation or so emotional. I am too afraid to speak to anyone else about it. Please help. What should I do?
My ex and I were in a relationship for 3 months and dating for 4 before that. We weren't exclusive during those 4 months, and we were just casually dating. After 4 months, I realized how happy she made me, and decided that I wanted to make it official. So I asked her to be my girlfriend. She smiled and said she really liked me, but she wasn't sure she wanted to put a title on things, and asked if I would give her the weekend to think about it. I figured it was a blow-off, but on that Sunday she called me up and said she was absolutely sure the answer was yes. We've been very happy and things have gone well, other than that we hadn't had sex yet. She said she wanted to wait until she was ready, which I've been cool with. I understand it, or at least I thought I did. So this past weekend, she decided she was ready. I planned a big romantic dinner, took her to see a play, and showed her a very nice time. As we got back to my place, I joked that I was glad she was ready because it had been about a year for me. She laughed and said, "Yeah, I'm sorry." I replied that it was okay and that I respected that she had to be ready because it was probably a while for her too. She started averting her gaze and said, "Well, not as long as you." I responded, "We've been involved for 7 months. How much not as long?" She wanted to drop the subject, but I was upset and kept pressing. She finally admitted that she had been seeing me and someone else at the beginning. She liked me more, but she already had a date set up with this other guy that weekend when I asked her. Her friend advised her to go on the date, have sex with the guy, get it out of her system, and say yes to me after so it wouldn't be cheating. She did exactly this, ended it with him, and called me up after. I told her to get out of my car. She started sobbing and apologizing, saying that it was a mistake. I told her I didn't care. I told her that she lied to me. As far as I'm concerned, she absolutely did cheat, She buried it for 3 months, and then acted like sex was something special and important to her when in actuality it was something to get out of her system with someone else. I told her it was over and I never wanted to see her again. She begged me to forgive her and I told her it's not happening. She's texted me numerous apologies saying she wishes she could go back and change it and I've ignored her. Her friend, yes the one that gave her the advice, called me up and said that I should be mad at her and not my ex. I replied that I actually am angry with both of them because they are both terrible people. A friend of mine told me that I was overreacting and we weren't exclusive until she said yes, but that feels like such contrived garbage to me that I won't even hear it. Am I overreacting? Did I make the right choice?
Throwaway, obviously. I'm so sorry this is long, but I really wanted to give the full context of the situation. Part of me just wants to let it go and learn from my mistake, but I'm also willing to be called out if others see it as more serious and think I need to tell my husband. One of my best friends, we'll call him Ryan, is male, and we have been very close since college. I also met my now husband, together 8 years, married 3, in college, and for some reason those two have never quite gotten along. My husband has always felt uncomfortable with my hanging out with Ryan one-on-one, even though our relationship has always been strictly platonic. I'll admit there was a time when I suspected Ryan might have a crush on me, which a mutual friend later confirmed, but it was several years ago and we are now each in serious, committed relationships, my being married and his being engaged. But I think that crush always stuck with my husband and he's just never been very comfortable with this friendship. For what it's worth, a friend has said she suspects he still holds a torch, but I really don't see that. Anyways, over the years my husband has marginally warmed up to him, but he still isn't super thrilled when we text too much and would not feel okay with our hanging out one-on-one. For some time I have felt a little bit guilty because while my husband knows that we do keep in touch, I know he wouldn't be happy if he knew how much. We make it a point to catch up by either a substantial text convo or 20-minute phone call every week or two, which has just always been a part of our friendship since we're both big on texting and talking on the phone in general. That may sound weird, but he is one of my closest friends, and I don't have very many close friends to begin with. A few years ago, Ryan moved across the country, so it's very rare that I actually see him in person. About once a year when he's back in town, we'll meet up with a group of our college friends, which doesn't bother my husband, even if he himself doesn't go. However, Ryan recently flew out for a very brief family event, where we wouldn't really have time to get the whole group together since they live farther away, but Ryan still wanted to hang out and catch up. I tentatively said yes, already sort of planning to cancel, because I knew my husband wouldn't be cool with it. However, like I said, we barely ever see each other and I realized lately that I've let a lot of friendships sort of fizzle out over the years because I don't put in enough effort to continuously nurture the friendship. I knew it was wrong, but I went against my gut and told my husband I was going to hang out with some friends when really I went to hang out with Ryan alone. If anyone thinks this is going to end in me cheating, that didn't happen. I love my husband more than anything in the world, and he really is one of the most wonderfully caring and understanding people I have ever known. We have an amazing connection I don't share with anyone else. So I would never even think about cheating on him. But I still felt extremely guilty about lying. He asked how each of my friends were when I came back, and I felt downright sick making up answers. Since that night, I blocked Ryan on my phone because I feel like that friendship is toxic to my marriage if it's causing me to lie. I know it sounds extreme, but I just felt so disgusted with myself. As much as I love Ryan's friendship, I would drop it in a second if it came between that and my marriage. As guilty as I feel, I'm so scared to tell the truth because if there's one thing my husband does not tolerate, it's lies. He is so open about everything, and this would completely shatter his trust. If he has one flaw, it is that he does not easily forgive when he feels betrayed, if at all. I also want to clarify that I am usually able to tell my husband anything, so it's not a situation where I am subconsciously seeking emotional intimacy that I am not getting in my marriage. He's not controlling either. He is actually incredibly trusting, which makes it worse that I abused his trust by doing the one thing he has expressed discomfort by. My question is, do I need to tell my husband in order to continue an honest relationship of integrity? Or would that just be assuaging my own guilty while doing irreparable damage to my husband's trust and possibly ruining our marriage? I truly feel like I would never do it again, but I'd like to know if others think it would be an even bigger offense to keep this a secret. I really don't know. Thanks to anyone who actually read and found time to reply.